start?
I think the time, 7:31.
Okay, we're calling the meeting to order. As usual, we're recording the meeting. If you want to address the council, please give your name and your street. I want to begin with two announcements. One is to welcome Matt Trollinger, our new village manager, for those who haven't met him. Welcome. We're happy to have you. I think most of you talked to him before the meeting. Anyway, he's a paralegal at Justice in the Antitrust Division. He's a resident of Silver Spring, has a Bachelor in Political Science from the University of Maryland, and Masters of Public Administration from American. And the second person to recognize is Beth Boa, who has very, very nicely filled in while we've been waiting to hire someone. Yeoman's duty. Thanks, Beth. Very, very much. Okay, we can move on to resident comments. Any resident comment? Keith, the weather.
Yes. Not to worry about the weather.
Well, they're talking about snow.
Yeah, I know what they're talking about. I had pronounced Old Man Winter officially dead last week, but I think he still has a bit of a pulse. So maybe Saturday night into Sunday morning, and then again Sunday night into Monday morning, there may be a mix of rain and snow, and enough around here to be on and see on the grass, just conversational type of stuff. But then we'll be right back up to 70 by next Wednesday.
All right.
Perfect.
So not to worry.
Thank you.
We need the rain too.
Thank you.
Right.
Well,
Anybody else?
I thought I'd never bring this up again, but Arthur encouraged me, and my wife is very unhappy that I'm talking about it again. Lynn Valley with, I'm in Oxford Street. At the corner of Quincy, where there are two stones, which I have addressed to the council many, many times, they were put there for the purpose of discouraging the big trucks from cutting across the curb. And the trucks did keep cutting across the curb and eventually moving the stones to what has been their permanent position now for about 3 years. What the one stone has managed to do is chip the sidewalk, but they haven't done anything to discourage the trucks from cutting corners. And so my ongoing request is for these two ugly landscaping pieces or whatever to just be removed and hauled away and do something to just get some grass in there.
Is there a storm sewer there?
Yeah. There's storm drains, yeah, there's 3 storm drains there at that intersection.
Right on that corner?
Yes, at that corner. Yeah.
Because I was wondering before why we didn't put bollards in, and everyone says, oh, you don't dare because the trucks, it'll really ruin the trucks. But why can't we put bollards in?
There was an aesthetic concern in the past.
Pardon?
There was an aesthetic.
Well, it doesn't sound like
There's
aesthetics.
another issue, is that the trucks need the room to turn.
Yeah.
And so one solution is to move the curb, to cut away, make it a broader turn.
Yeah, if you went there and looked, just about at any time, you can see the tire tracks going over the curb and across the gravel and that sort of thing. So you could get an idea, or you could just take the edges of the stones that are there, the outside edges that are closest to the street, and that's where you would need your curb to be.
That's the boundary.
Yeah.
So
because the boundary's been established by the position of the stones where they now sit, and they have sat
it's been
for
shoved.
years.
They've been shoved to a
Yeah.
position where the trucks
But
can
why,
make the turn.
if they're going to just move them again?
Right, so
I mean,
the
I
question,
don't
so the thing is, get rid of the stones and increase the turning radius.
So that
Move the
more
curb.
trucks can use the street.
Yes, yeah, otherwise they just come up over.
Not more trucks, it's just that when they make the corner, they'd be making the corner on a designated street area.
On the street.
As opposed to jumping over the curb.
Yeah.
Well, I'm for reducing truck traffic. That was
you're not
my
gonna-
goal.
Oh,
So that was why I was more interested in putting the stones or the bollards there is there a reason why, I presume they're big trucks, or is it just those pickup trucks pulling lawnmowers?
It's the big trucks. It's It's like the big dump trucks.
Well, why are they using that street?
Because they're there. They're moving trucks, you know.
The school buses sometimes have
Yeah.
to cut across.
What about an ambulance and fire
much do we-
truck?
Yeah,
Well, how
fire
much-
truck,
Yeah.
yeah.
How much do we own versus what you guys own on that corner? What's the
Well,
right-of-way space?
Well, yeah,
Is that really all? Okay.
on Oxford Street, our property line is maybe about less than a foot from the sidewalk.
Okay.
On Quincy Street, where it's more
Okay.
from the sidewalk. I'd have to look.
But if you're moving the street and there are 3 storm sewer intakes there, I mean, it isn't a case of just cutting off part of the corner. You've got to address,
I don't think so.
That bigger
The
issue?
storm and,
Here, across the street, and over there.
oh, so they're not on the corner.
I didn't. If I had my pictures with me, then.
Or we could do a field trip.
Or we could do a field
But
trip.
that's what I think you need to do.
I tell
is
you
do a
what we'll
field
do, that we'll ask
maybe
Joe
we should.
Cutro to go down and look at it
Good
and
idea.
figure out a way to
accommodate
the corner
Yeah.
or the rocks or stop the trucks.
Who's Joe Cutro?
He's
Our
the traffic
highway
engineer.
engineer.
Oh, I see, okay.
Okay?
Well, I would appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
After 3
Yeah.
years, I
Yeah,
think
the
we can...
problem hasn't gone away.
Right, right, so,
Thank you.
Okay.
okay. Any other comments?
Moving on.
Is the policeman coming?
Can't make it because it's St. Patrick's Day. They both ended up having to work.
I'll bet. Okay, Centennial Committee. Naomi,
Yes.
update,
So I think
please.
the report somewhere circulated, no?
Yes.
It is.
Thank you. We all have it.
It's in our file.
It's under tab 2.
Thank you. Have a copy.
While she's getting ready, did any of I mean, this was the first month that we've sent out the meeting announcement with all of the attachments with the meeting announcement. Did anybody open any of the attachments? This isn't,
I didn't,
I
didn't
did.
know
Richard,
that.
just for the record, I did. Just.
I didn't see the attachments. I saw the meeting announcement.
well, there was
was
a
a link
line
right
there
under
that
it.
said,
Oh, did it?
click
Okay.
here for the meeting attachment.
Okay, I just glanced at it. That's it.
I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty, but when that happens next month, I expect better
Yeah.
response.
Okay.
Well, how many people have registered for the meet?
I've sent in my,
I'm on the committee. I haven't.
I haven't either.
We'll definitely do it tonight.
Because we're doing a head count, right? Hi, I'm Naomi.
Hi.
You guys know?
Nice to meet you.
So, how many people have registered for the Centennial?
I meant to.
this is like pledge break?
Okay. Yeah, try to do it soon so we have a good idea of how many are coming. I think so far we have about 68 or so. How many kids? Of those
Not very many, maybe like 8.
So
four
we're
at this
still,
table. There's at least 6 at this table. Bolts, kids, and everything.
so what you have, this folded piece is a very rough draft of the program. You can see that we're going to have 3 lectures. It's preceded by a poem by Peggy Eastman, and Paul Weller is going to do a review of our early beginnings, and then Arthur is going to do talk about our village trees, what they look like and what the benefits are, and then Paul Weller is going to talk about our history since incorporation. And Richard's going to give us a little bit of a glimpse of the future. And then our newfound musical director, Blake Clark, his name is, he will write an anthem for us that I hope will come out okay. This is just an experiment. Let's see what it works, how it works. So that's kind of essentially what the program looks like. We're going to have lots of good food and games for the kids to the extent that they come. And I think originally we were thinking about 125, 130 people. We're about halfway through now. So hopefully he'll, and we're passing around we're dropping off an invitation at every single doorstep of the village. Hopefully people will tune into that a little bit more than they do on the newsletters, although maybe somebody should send the announcement on the listserv as opposed to constant contact. Would someone take it upon themselves to forward the invite to the listserv, or can you do that or not?
No, the problem is that that's not an official
I understand.
village site, so somebody could easily do it personally.
As an individual.
As an individual.
All right, well, next time I see it, I'll just forward it to the whole listserv.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
If there are more residents than 120 that do attend, is there a capacity to accommodate that?
Totally. Oh, yeah, I think the club will hold, well, there are 350 homes here. So if everybody came, it would be at least 700 plus kids. I don't know if we could do 700, but we could do several hundred. And the kids presumably would be outdoors, so of course it depends on the weather. It is April. But I don't think we're going to have more than 200 or 300, quite frankly, but we'll see.
Are we sending out invitations at the, last year at the 30th anniversary of the incorporation, all the local politicians came?
Yes, so far, Leggett is coming.
Go, good.
I think he's going to come and apologize.
Everyone, everyone who's running for office will be there.
Well, he's not running on it.
But he's not running now.
But he just did raise our tax, he's proposing to. But we've invited,
There's Van Hollen and Alcar.
right. We don't want to invite candidates, we want to invite,
Well, all the candidates usually will show up, but they love this sort of thing.
they will show up even uninvited.
Well,
We're not inviting candidates, we just didn't want to get
Right,
into the
into there,
politics.
right, I say that.
It's nice, it would be nice to see
Right.
Van Hollen there, but the others make it too political.
Right.
So most of this I've already reported on, where it's going to be, what our title is. We are collecting a whole bunch of stories, videotaping them from residents, what they love about living here, any interesting stories that they want to share, and we'll incorporate those into a video that we'll show at the event in between lectures, and also snippets of it in a DVD that we'll create after the event, having videotaped the event itself. So that should be an equivalent to the DVD we've all been watching from the Chevy Chase Historical Society. We'll have our own this time. Any people that have artwork, publications that they want to share, or CDs, consider coming. We're going to set up some tables for people to show off their art. And we're doing pretty well looking into sponsorships. So far, La Ferme has committed. Yeah, we got a pretty kind of a yes from them, although we still need a confirmation. Brookville Market's going to donate some beer and sodas, and then the Brook Taylor Interiors and Brookville Pharmacy. Did you find the raffles that I dropped off this morning? So we have, and we're still actually the musical program. We may be able to get a donation from T.W. Perry. The family apparently attends the church where this musician plays, and Paul Weller thought that he could sweet talk to.
All the Tyvek you can use.
The music is going to cost us $850, and he's going to ask for all of that. So this budget is still under $20,000. Hopefully, it should stay there, and it should be even less if we get money from T.W. Perry's, and also we're going to ask
Chevy Chase Lake Grocery.
Chevy Chase Supermarket.
Yeah,
So-
Chevy Chase Supermarket. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, but if we do have like 300 people coming, then we may have to spend more money on food. Yeah. But that would be a happy.
Does the budget estimate cover number 8, the development of the DVD and any purchases
Yes.
related to that? Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, we got a fixed price contract from a videotaping video company that I've worked with in the past. Really good people that Michelle Malloy also happens to know. So I'm confident they'll do something good for us.
Thank you.
So I don't know if anybody had any questions, any recommendations, suggestions. It's shaping up. We'll see what happens.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Naomi. Thank the committee. We have to thank each other.
And each other. And the council members.
Okay, Elections Committee, Leanne?
I'm Leanne Anderson, Quincy Street. This will be a short update because your somewhat, I don't know, out of sorts election committee chair is recovering from the flu and forgot her notes, but we'll do the best I can off the top of my head.
Okay.
As you know, the election is scheduled for May 12th. By April 12th, we will have received all nominations and declarations of candidacy, and we will be distributing the candidate statements. We are looking into now, the committee has been doing a lot of work looking into using various sources for distribution of the candidate statements. We are intending to have a candidate forum on April 28th, as we have in years past, with questions picked out of a hat. We are also in development on our very exciting absentee ballot process we're going to have this year. The PO box is well in hand and in the works, as well as the methods that the council approved for requesting ballots and distribution of ballots, and some of the committee members are also working on the control number system that was contemplated by the procedures and put in place, and that's also well in hand. The committee will be meeting again. We were originally going to meet on April 12th, but due to conflicts, we've moved it a whole day to April 13th, and we'll be finalizing all of the various forms and mailings. There will be a much more comprehensive and coherent update than the one I've just given, provided for the newsletter probably tomorrow afternoon so that it can go out to all the residents. But we appreciated the council's work on our procedures and recognize that some of what we asked for couldn't, or suggested, couldn't be implemented this year, but have taken everything that you've given us and run with it. And we are looking forward to a good and fun process this year, and are still contemplating a great celebration on the sidewalk. So we'll pray for good weather, better than the snow that's contemplated potentially this weekend for the election on May 12th, and look forward to seeing y'all on the sidewalk.
Thank you and the committee for incredible work. You've done a lot, and we're appreciative.
Leanne, I just want to make sure that you saw the ethics questionnaire.
Yes, I
Okay.
saw that that did come out.
Perfect. So that should hook right into whatever you guys need.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank
We
you.
did notice that, and we're happy to have that taken off to somebody else and done for us. So thank you also to the ethics committee for that part.
Okay, we have action on the council meeting minutes of February 18. Those were approved by email. I just need a motion to approve them in reality.
Motion to approve.
Susan moves. Second. Arthur seconds. All in favor? Aye. And then the work session that we held on the budget on February 24th, those have also been approved by mail. Another motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes from
Tiffany
the
moves.
budget work session.
I'll second.
Katya seconds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Opposed. Update on the streetlight project. It's number 4.
Okay, so since last meeting, what's been going on there is that we've been waiting for the final specifications from Scott Watson, and Halophane is not responsive to Scott. And then finally today we got an email saying that the company that produces the fixtures is no longer going to be producing them going forward. It's been sold. And so the recommendation, I guess, for him is that he's making to us is to just look at it again in case we want to switch to LEDs, because
Nobody's making, so you mean this fixture here? Where are we?
The light is no longer being made.
No, this is the fixture
Or
here. Yeah.
the fixture.
Are we talking about the fixture or the type of light bulb?
No, he's on the fixture. This thing here.
So the light bulb is still being made?
In China.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before we go to LED, we can still find a different fixture
If we
for
can
the
find-
light bulb we approve.
If we can.
Okay. And did he say there is another fixture?
Well, so he's recommending that we look at again at induction versus LED because there seems to be a trend
Of already moving out of?
Yeah.
that induction is just coming out of favor in the market, and so while we can install them now in their very long life, yes, some people,
What? Tiffany, what are you snickering about?
it's a I told you so snicker.
Yeah.
I did not snicker.
It was a smirk.
Let the record
It's a
show that
smirk.
it was a snicker. A
No,
smirk. It was
a smirk. It was an I told you so smirk.
Anyway, so while LED is still on paper not as good of a light as an induction is, in their opinion, and
In a lot of our opinions.
yes.
Well, Scott's view was that it was more glary.
Yes, and so induction LEDs are still glary,
Right.
and there's no clear timeline in terms of when we expect to have an LED option on the market that is not glary. But I think that we've decided that we need to move in some direction to
Yeah.
replace the lights. We can't just sit around and wait
Yeah.
for. So would you like to look at it? I mean, as you recall, the financials of this, they were very similar
Very
in
similar.
price.
Yeah.
And there is the 55 watt LED that we have on Bradley Lane that was there
Did receive more votes from
By one.
residents.
And I'm wondering,
by one.
I'm wondering whether the glariness can be dealt with simply by a frosted glass or something like that around it.
I mean, does this boil down to your previous request of maybe having a couple vendors come in and talk about?
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
can't believe that we are reduced to starting all over, so to speak, because one vendor is no longer making a light fixture for induction lights.
Well, the problem is for us to issue that RFP for vendors to come in and talk to us about what they can do, we need the exact specifications.
Right.
And that's what they weren't responsive with. So we don't have necessarily the specifications to put out there of what is the price of.
I mean, even before we did an RFP, we could have a few companies come in.
Show their
and
wares.
Say to them, this is
But
what
that
we've been
definitely sets
looking
us all the way back. I think that if we have decided that we would like to pursue with this option, which he could provide for LEDs easily, right? It's just the induction that, because they were working through the exact setup of that fixture, so they need the final.
But couldn't we say to them,
specifications.
like, bring them in one evening and say, we're walking over to Georgia, here's the induction light, in deference, that we, what can you do that is as closest to, can you do this? And if everybody says, no, we only do LED, then we know
Where
we
we're
have
at.
to move on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, before an RFP goes out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would accomplish the same thing by saying that, quote us an induction option or an LED option, but they're so specific beyond that in terms of how the light is spread, right? So they could come back to us and say, well, this will cost you this amount of money, but we're not really comparing apples to apples because the
Right,
guts
but
are
if
different.
maybe the question is, can you provide us a fixture for an induction light? And if so, what are the specifications of it? Why can't
And
we
then
ask it
have-
that way?
And then have Scott analyze the specifications?
Right.
We could do that.
And then if everybody comes back and says there are no induction light fixtures anymore with or without specifications, that's that.
Or we're shutting down next year.
Yeah, we're turning all the lights off.
Well, I mean,
Well, so
Sure.
is the problem, I don't know how to ask this in a way that...
Is there a concern that the future of induction lights in general is limited or short-term?
well, there is that concern, but also at the same time, the LEDs that are on the market today, they're probably not going to be the same LEDs in 20 years, so we'll still have to retrofit. So
Is Scott not as responsive as you'd like?
Scott is responsive, but he doesn't get responses to his inquiries.
Makers, from the producers.
Well,
Yeah, Hall of Fame, there has to be somebody other than Hall of Fame.
yeah, I don't understand how he, who does this for a number of villages, isn't getting responses. I mean, you know, if he's a professional representing a lot of places, it seems to me I'd be getting responses. And so I'm not clear of why he's not.
Well, to me it sounds like, and I don't know if you were on the emails, I can forward them when I didn't bring my phone, I can't do it right now, but I'll forward to you the emails tonight. It sounds like that the company was sold to some other company and that new company is not really interested in doing business in this area.
Right, no, I've got
forward, and that's
that,
the kind
but
of
I don't understand why he doesn't know 9 other companies and he's already approached them if he's the lighting professional. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Is that,
Yes, I agree.
I mean, that he just, it seems like, okay, that doesn't work, I've dropped the ball. And I wonder why he's not pursuing, I mean, we're paying him. I don't feel like we're getting active help in an unkind way, saying. So that sort of leaves you in a mess. But you can, no, I think you can say to him, I don't understand it. We need, you know, we want induction lights. This can't be the only company. Why aren't you looking at other companies? And if he says there are no other, that takes care of that.
Okay, so if there are no other companies, then how would we like to
Then we start to, you know, as you say, it sets us back.
And we move into smirk lights.
I would recommend that we not start from scratch. There has been a lot of research done. We do have 2 other options that have been piloted that, again, were supported by...
And out of the 2 other options, there's one that has been selected as, you know, they were kind of neck and neck with the induction one. So I think if we did go the LED route, there is a specific lamp.
Right. And I think, when I looked at Scott's figures before, he has these very high maintenance costs for LEDs, which really surprised me.
It seems like they just go out more often than the induction lights.
Yeah.
So is that, Mr. Chairman, are you good with that path forward? If we get either there are other people that make the inductions or not, and then the next decision point is if
not, we go with LED, we're done with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you good with that?
So I will respond, I will copy you guys, and I'll copy Matt, and hopefully we can push this through. Can you guys help me through this thing?
Happy to help you. I'm even happy to talk to Scott if you want
that's
me
great.
to. Yeah.
Now, this may be beside the point, but I had heard that Scott was having some health problems that may be interfering with this, or...
I don't know about Scott's health problems.
Anything like that,
Okay. We're relatively insensitive to those things. No, I'm kidding you. Yeah. Okay. The budget, fiscal and budget, and taxes. Your report is really good.
Okay.
Thank you, Arthur, for doing that.
After I got corrected, I had missed Beth's emails with the latest information.
Well, this was a very good, you did a great job.
Well, I think the two big issues of uncertainty, one of which has now been resolved, is the wind decision. And it looks like if we plan on $15,000 a year of rebates for the next 10 years, we'll be safe. It all depends on how many residents file their, what do you call it, when you... amended income taxes to recover from the deductions from other states' income taxes that they've paid.
Just for those people who don't know, the Wynn decision is the court decision.
U.S. Supreme Court.
U.S. Supreme Court?
Yeah, it says that Martin's Addition has to pay back money.
That we double charged people for income taxes. Maryland State did. That if you had a deduction from another state and paid taxes on that, you should not have to pay taxes in Maryland also. And
That
apparently,
was allowed, the way the state law read, you could make those deductions at the state level, but they did not allow it for local level, county level taxes. And the Supreme Court said, if you're going to do it at the state, you got to do it at all levels of government.
okay.
And so it's not the full state tax that was where they weren't given credit, but only local. So it
local.
kind of restricts the amount of exposure that we have.
And we do know
But
we
it-
have impacted residents, so we
Yeah,
will be paying.
So basically, it impacts residents who have paid out-of-state income, out-of-state taxes.
Right.
Is it income tax?
Yeah, out of
Out-of-state income tax. From 19,
going back 10 years.
okay.
The other uncertainty, and this really gets me, this shows you kind of a primitive level of data processing capabilities. The state comptroller doesn't know where people live. And in order to rebate the appropriate amount of state income tax to municipalities, you have to know that this person lives in this municipality. Well, apparently, some did and some didn't. And so some of our local towns end up getting a large amount of income tax for their municipality because people said, I live in Chevy Chase, where really they lived in Bethesda or someplace else.
Or Martin's
Or Martin's
Additions.
Additions, right. And they're finding, when they actually did an audit of actually where people live, that they received too much income tax and now they have to pay it back. We had, in the audit, it turns out, the reverse for us. A lot of people who lived in Martin's Addition, they didn't know it, and so we didn't get the tax revenues. Now we are over 300,000. 300,000, what, 285. 275,000, which is a kind of a windfall. But in the future, to the degree that they now know where people live, our income should be a little bit higher than they have been.
And I think every year the comptroller is going to be getting a list from
Yeah,
the
now they have a system set up,
with addresses.
which they did not have before.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. What? Well, allegedly they're giving a list, or allegedly they didn't know?
Allegedly, they'll have a new system that works.
Oh, right, okay. Right, you look doubtful. So we now know we have this windfall coming in. The rest of our taxes are coming in fine, and our expenses have been low, except for one or two items that I highlight in my report.
Tab 5. Yeah.
Tab 5. So what I suggest is that the residents take a close look at what we put out in our proposed budget, go through it line by line, and looking for any feedback.
And I just want to highlight, we also put out this year, which I think we had questions in the past from residents about what was included in the different line items. So this year, there's Arthur's explanation that's written out in prose. There's the actual budget document with all the numbers on it. And then there's kind of a glossary / explanation of what each line item is. So if you want to know what the permit fees are, you can look, and it says, these are what our permit fees are. If you want to know what the real property tax is, this is what it is. If you want to know who our storage rentals with, here's the information on the storage rentals. So I think that will help a lot of the residents who've had questions in the past about where is the money in each line item going to.
Mm-hmm. Good. Good job.
Beth.
And Dan.
Dan.
The thing that's not included is I got an estimate from the design group that came and looked at the office that is working pro bono on furniture costs. If, for instance, we bought all of this furniture, they're estimating a cost of around $44,000. And they're also estimating a cost if we change the doorway, as was suggested, and repaint the whole office, which I think is pretty reasonable to do, of around $28,000. These are their estimates. We have not included that much in the budget. And so the question is, do we want to add more to the budget to account for finally doing some of the things we've talked about, or leave it as it is and amend the budget later.
I would suggest the latter.
Yeah.
We need, I think the whole thing
Until we
needs-
make a final decision on how we want
Yeah,
to proceed.
we need to have a full discussion on the.
Yeah.
on the
What
office
we're
layout.
going to do and what it would be, and
Yeah.
Right, because it has some line items like the dividing panels. And last we spoke about this, at least the last conversation I was a part of. There were some opinions that do we really want to have dividing panels?
right.
So that would, this is just one example out of
Right.
many. So until we make a decision on exactly which portions of this we want to proceed with,
Right.
I think.
We'd sooner leave it as is and then add money when we need it.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, that's fine with me. Okay, so do we need a motion for the budget?
We do. A motion to introduce.
May I bring something up
Sure.
for that? So, this budget still has leaf bags versus the exploring the thought of vacuuming the leaves from the streets. So we've discussed in the past, after the survey, that we would come back to it during the budget discussions. And so I'd
Yes.
like to come back to it during the budget discussion.
Okay. Well, for the moment, what we can do is we can ask Rolling Acres how much it would cost to vacuum instead of pick up.
So last year, when that was investigated, the difference was $2,000 a year,
Let me-
which was negligible.
Sure. But let me add that the leaf bags serve a year-long purpose of garden waste. And are you suggesting that we do away with
Yes.
leaf bags entirely and picking up garden waste?
No, just do away with the leaf bags.
So that people go to the hardware store and buy their own?
Yes. Well, I think people have to do that anyway. That's certainly not enough to last.
I have an 18-year supply if you want to.
Really?
I have collectibles at the
I will
bottom.
send Jack away.
Jack is going to be coming to your
Yes.
house later.
But we bag our own leaves, and
Yeah.
but this is a humongous task for if you bag your own leaves. And what we got from the survey responses was that people were interested in pursuing this. So would you guys be open to at least doing this on a trial period, maybe a pilot year, and then we assess how it went?
My concern has been the safety concern. Our streets are really narrow, that the leaves are going to be raked out either onto the street.
Which I think is not strictly legal. Didn't somebody say that at one point? That you're not supposed to rake them into the street, but only onto the verge?
Yeah, they would be in the right of way. Like
Yeah.
we'd have to give instruction to the residents to do that.
To leave them on the right of way.
Rather than
Yes.
into the street.
Right.
Which
So
makes
rather
it-
than eliminating parking spaces and creating that, but all of the other jurisdictions around here do vacuum their leaves, and some of the streets are narrower than ours.
And they do it by leaving their leaves on the right of way.
So it must be something that is manageable, right? So there other jurisdictions are managing it, so maybe we can have
Yeah, I'd like
Matt
to.
contact
I'd like to get a
Section 3 and
a
find
survey
out.
of local jurisdictions to find out what they're doing. And
We're the only
what the
jurisdiction that
procedures-
does not offer leaf vacuuming around here.
It's deplorable.
Yes.
Archaic. Okay, we'll look
something
into
to
it.
look into.
Yes.
So what are the
We'll have a
to-do
report
items?
back. We'll have a report back from Matt and
starts
or
working.
Beth once they
Wait a
start
minute,
working.
Matt, when do you start?
The 28th.
28, okay.
And we do
Budget
have some
money.
of this work. I believe Rolling Acres did provide some estimates in the
Right.
past.
Yes.
So I think,
So
let's
it's not a
recycle
complete-
and refresh versus
Right.
create anew.
Yeah.
The work that was done.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Dan has a-
One thing,
Yes, Dan.
the right of way in many cases is the sidewalk.
That's right, it's
So
this
if
big.
you put leaves in the right of way, that's going to be covering the sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah, so we definitely have to think through what direction we give to residents.
Yeah.
But again, because other jurisdictions clearly manage this, there must be their experience that we can leverage in our
Yeah.
instance.
Maybe they all have sidewalks.
No, they don't. I know the town
No.
doesn't. They have
Doesn't.
very small rights of way.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
So,
I've never seen the truck. I've seen the trucks going by on the
I know
county
Montgomery
area.
County does
Yeah, the
it.
county does it.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna check it out. Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank
we
you,
need a
Dan.
motion to introduce ordinance 3-16-1 to adopt a budget for fiscal year July 1, 2016 through July 30, 2017, and resolution 316-2 to adopt new tax rates.
Oh, right, we have both. Okay.
So moved.
So who's moving to do
I
this?
moved.
Okay.
And
Say the whole thing, Susan.
No,
Really?
no, she didn't.
I moved to do it, Don. What Ron said.
What he said. yeah.
What he said.
And is there a second?
I will second. To do what he said.
We have to introduce tonight because there are not 30 days between the April and the May meetings.
Right.
Right.
And this gives residents almost 2 months before.
Yeah.
And we will be sending it out again next month for comment. And what happens if next month they want it changed?
You can make changes
You can change
after
it.
hearing from
Yeah.
the residents.
Okay, and not have to reintroduce it?
No.
Okay. So we have a motion
I second it.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Do we have to put in a resolution about tax rates?
I
Yes,
included
that's
that.
it.
Oh, you included
Yeah,
that?
That was
that's number
included?
2.
Oh, okay.
316-2 is the resolution for the tax rates.
Which
Okay.
are not changing.
Right.
Okay.
But you don't have to sign that now.
Okay. Financial matters. Katya.
okay, so in the last month, we're still in great financial shape. Our expenses have exceeded our income because of the sum of the tax distributions that were budgeted for February were not received. That happens from time to time. We'll receive them in March. So that's not a concern. And the snow expense was significantly higher than what was budgeted, so expenses are higher in that category. So overall, we are, I guess about $45,000 over in our expenses than our income, but in the long term, it's not a concern, even out by next month.
Yeah, I sent a note out by email that I want to put down for the record. We used to get with every income tax distribution, a narrative and a spreadsheet that showed what the numbers, where they came from. Delinquent returns from 2011 and final returns from 2013 and so on. And from that you could judge what was regular, what was exceptional. And then we stopped getting them. And I went on my computer and found an old one. And it turns out that when the transition of managers, when email accounts were changed, we stopped getting them. And so I tracked down the person in Annapolis, in the comptroller's office, who sends it out, corrected it, told him, I did call him yesterday. And so we should be getting that. In fact, he's going to send us the last few that we have missed so that we can see in there how much was because of the misallocation of addresses, how much is it because of late filings from 2 years ago. And
Does
so on.
Dan also get that?
He must get it. I would imagine he does. So we should know. I was expecting to get it today because he said he'd be right on top of it, but I haven't gotten it as of yet. So we should be getting that again. It's very useful to understand with this, $180,000, where did this come from?
Right. Thank you for doing that.
So we should be getting it.
Anything else?
No.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Yo,
Amendments?
All
We discussed
second?
amendments last time, right?
Yeah.
no, did we do it legally last time? I can't
This is your
remember.
question of 3 people versus 5 people.
Yeah, we passed budget amendments when we had a small group.
Right, so yeah, you need a
We had
super
to-
majority, so you can just ratify with a new vote tonight.
ratify the amendments to the budget that
As
were
were made in
passed.
January.
No, as were made last
At the
month.
work session.
At the work
Oh, at the
session.
work
You
session.
needed 4 votes
Yeah,
to amend the budget.
okay.
So we just need a new vote on the same topic tonight.
Okay, so we want to ratify the vote that was made to increase the budget categories,
Yeah, to amend the budget
to amend the budget
as discussed at the work session.
as discussed at the work session. Okay, is there a motion?
Yes, let's do, I was there at the work session. I
Okay.
will make a motion to
Second.
ratify
Second.
what we did at the work session.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So the new budget numbers are now official.
Thought you was gonna get thrown in
Beth
jail.
reminded me that was on the agenda.
And Beth, do you want to talk about what the manager's report? Or do you want?
We're already there?
Wow, we're making great time today.
Yes, we're moving right on.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't ready. Well, the first thing was about the income taxes,
Right.
but that was covered by Arthur's report that we will be getting 257,000. We've gotten some of it already. They will be requesting every year a list of our addresses, even though our addresses aren't really changing. We'll send it anyway. In this case, the records retention policy was approved.
Yo. How long did that take? It was
Started in August, July and August.
July and August.
7,
Okay,
8 months.
yeah.
So now I'll be going through documents. I've got to get the approved boxes for the archivist from the Maryland Correctional Institute or something to box up and send.
Scary that's a correctional
Documents.
institute.
We had about 2,000 page views on our website in February 7th to March 8th. Continuing to publish the news that are online. And getting ready for the election, I'm updating the voter rolls. If you have a neighbor who's new, let us know in the office. We're still looking at the tree subsidy program. The next step is to approve some species for that program.
We want to get together to get trees approved for private planting.
Right.
Yeah.
The FEMA reimbursement for the snow plowing, there's a meeting tomorrow to explain to me how to fill out 15,000 forms. No, I think Dan said it wasn't that bad, so those are due April 3rd, so I'll try to get those all done.
Beth, do you have any idea how much money we might get back for this
Well, the
snow
last
plowing?
estimate I made was about 10,000, but I'll learn more tomorrow about what's reimbursable. So then I'll know better what will be appropriate.
Good.
I haven't heard back from the State Highway Administration about the intersection. We were supposed to hear in the middle of February, and it's the middle of March, so. Unfortunately, the police couldn't make it today, but they're gonna contribute safety tips to the newsletter each month. And so, but hopefully we can get them at another date.
Beth, before we go, the state highway,
Yeah.
would it be helpful for us to write them a letter officially saying, hey, you were supposed to tell us about this redesign? I mean, I don't know where you guys
Yeah.
would be on that, if that's
Yeah,
helpful
I think
or
the
not.
council should send a letter.
Yeah.
I would like to make sure we have input before there's a redesign plopped on our...
Oh, yeah.
That was what we were supposed to have, like a hearing about it, and then I emailed the lady and she didn't write me back, so I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, a letter would be good, from you would be good.
And maybe if we copy Van Hollen's office, because they've been really responsive when
Yeah.
we've done that, it sort of lets everybody know that we care.
Or whoever our local state representative is. since it's
Right.
not a federal-
Well, I suppose that's true. Well, it's a state highway.
Right.
Okay, oh, I see. We should be going to the state people.
Yeah, like when we did the mail,
Car.
that was federal.
Yeah. Carr.
Yeah,
Al Carr
yeah,
is our man.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so WSSC is still working in your neighborhood. They're up on Quincy putting in temporary piping, and they are going down Bradley and attaching the new pipe to each home, a few homes every day. In those cases, the water will only be off about 45 minutes or less. for each home.
Let's say that was the goal. That was not their experience.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Is that
no.
right?
Just, it's
Did
their
you
first.
get yours changed?
No, they planned to make it to our house today, and they did not. So they
Are they starting at the bottom?
yes,
Oh.
they suggested that it was the first day with this crew doing this work here, so the next day should be faster, smoother.
Oh, so this is a different crew than actually installs the mains?
I can't tell you if it's exactly the same people, but it's different work. It's very different.
Different kind of work.
Different kind of work.
Right.
So there's lots of hand digging involved at this
Right.
point. So.
Okay.
But the residents have been compliant with moving the cars, so
That's good.
there were no problems with that today.
Yeah. The only problem with the Quincy temporary piping is if someone drives over and breaks the pipe, then everyone will lose water. So it's just something to be aware of on Quincy. Andy's talked about this transient lodging legislation, but I don't know if that's something that's going to go anywhere. It's being pushed by Hans Riemer.
This looks like the Airbnb
Yeah.
bill. Is that where it's coming from?
Yes.
It is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, basically, I think the county council is recognizing that Airbnb, HomeAway, Loft are operating all over the place. Probably too late to stop it, so the county would at least like to license it, so it knows what's going on and can receive a license fee. But the county is proposing a restriction that would require the units be the leaseur's primary residence,
Right.
which provides some restriction.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able, for example, to buy a unit and turn it into a hotel
Right.
in a condominium complex.
Is that the only restriction? Okay. And what's the chance of this moving?
Well, it's hard to say, but I think it's a pretty good chance that it'll pass.
Oh, really?
because-
Well, I thought when I read the review of it, it says that it was now allowing, the new proposal would allow a owner resident to lease out a whole house as a bed and breakfast. So you could buy up every house on the street, and each one could be a bed, so-called bed and breakfast.
No, I haven't seen that amendment. Was there an amendment to the?
This was the document that you had sent around. This was before the hearing. The hearing was last week, or this week, or last
That was
week.
March 8th.
March 8th. This was before the hearing, and they said one of the points they had made was that you don't have to have an owner resident. It can be a purely owned house where the
Then it has changed from its initial draft. I'll look into.
And the analysis that I saw, I don't know who turned out the analysis, but this was one of the points that we're raising. Okay.
A friend of mine rented her house last weekend on Airbnb, just in Silver Spring. It turned out to be high school kids that wanted to have a party, so it was a fake account. And she's claiming the entire high school they were partying.
Wow.
Cops came, she got a call. Yeah.
Wow.
The sidewalk repairs took place February 19th. They still got a data complete. The work seemed fine, except for a site on Quincy that had a tire track. I think their work was okay, but I have a lot of trouble communicating.
You said
with
they're
them.
unresponsive.
They're not unresponsive, so I don't know if we move forward, if we want to look somewhere.
Are they not responsive via email and phone?
Yeah,
I mean,
both.
because initially they were talking to you without any problem. So now it's
tapered off. So, I mean, I'll keep trying, but,
well, they gave us estimates to repair the tire track, right?
yes.
So they're
and then
probably
they dropped
saying-
it, but then they dropped it. So, I haven't
They're
heard back.
done. They're on the next job.
Well, I think they've said that either we pay them to repair the tire track.
Well, which I think seems reasonable. I mean, I don't think it's their fault if somebody drives through the fresh cement, or is it? Was it not
Well,
marked?
That's the question I had, and she didn't get back to me.
Yeah, you put up a cone and a truck comes by, the cone
I
isn't
said,
gonna do much.
did they put up, I went to see it at the end of the day on a Friday, which is when they were working.
Yeah.
And they hadn't even poured it. And I came back Sunday morning and there was a tire truck. So I don't know if they left a barrier up around it or not. Because it hadn't been poured when I left that Friday.
Is this a residence driveway?
It's a curb on the side where they repaired the curb and then part of the right next to the
driveway
curb.
cut.
But it was not at a driveway. It was not at a driveway. It was on the side of the road. So anyway, I mean, I haven't written them off, but it's just something to consider in the future.
Right.
Because there are people calling in and telling me other places that need repairs, so we'll have to get on them. We were gonna, and then the street repairs, we were gonna have the repaving meeting with WSSC last week, but they couldn't make it, and so now I've postponed it until Matt is on board and we can try again. And then I got a call from Washington Gas, a contractor for Washington Gas yesterday, saying they were gonna go repave Quincy next week. And I said, no, you're not. So, people are not talking.
No, they don't.
So I told them that we had to have a meeting with them first, and they couldn't just go repave Quincy. So.
But that feeds into the conversation we had about how much does Washington Gas think is on them versus how much WSSC thinks on them.
Right, which is why we're going to have to meet with it, both parties.
And even parts of WSSC, the water people don't talk to the sewer people.
Right.
One is paving while the other side, one side, the other digging up.
Right, so, okay, bulk trash was collected Saturday. We still are getting pet waste bags for free from Friendship Animal Hospital, and they deliver them and everything. And then Doug Lohmeyer has his report in here.
I didn't see this.
There's not a whole lot going on. We're keeping an eye on 3505 Raymond.
Right.
And,
I think 3519 Bradley, there must have been some work done on the sidewalk.
yeah, they reset the sidewalk. We're waiting for it to settle to see if it'll
If
settle.
it's settled appropriate, okay.
And if not, we'll have to revisit that, but they want their bond back.
And has the sidewalk been fixed since they,
They say it's been fixed. Doug says it's still a little offset,
okay,
so he was waiting to see if it will settle in the weather.
okay.
Patty will know.
Tell me I've gotten a call.
What about the dead end of Raymond? There's that barrier.
The barrier is down, and we're waiting for the new signs to arrive. Joe Cutro took a look and recommended certain signs that he ordered, and I'm waiting for them to arrive, and they will install them.
But the
barrier is, the WSSC is going to clear the barrier if they haven't already.
I thought it was
Who's
gone.
gonna fix the barrier? Yeah, I think the barrier's gone.
Oh, WSSC took the barrier down.
Are they gonna fix the barrier and put a new one in since it's ours, not theirs? And they broke it?
We can address it with them because this group of WSSC people said it wasn't them, it was some other group of WSSC people 4 or 5 years ago who knocked over the barrier. So it's going to be a matter of tracking down who that was and holding them to account.
Well, it was only halfway down, now it's all the way
Well,
down.
then was it the snowplow, someone involved in that? Probably.
I thought that Wayne was going to put barrels down there. Did he do that?
Did he? I'll have to go check.
Yeah, because that's the last I knew, was he said so that we at least had something there so somebody didn't run into the bank and then it's our fault.
Right, I think the last I talked to him, he said cars are usually parked at the very end, so he was going to put a barrier, like not a barrier.
A barrel.
A barrel in between the cars at the end.
Okay, well, just so there's something that shows that street ends.
Okay.
I know that we're trying to work through with WSSC kind of on that, but the barrier and the lack of planting has been a concern for a while. So this may be something that, if we need to do something in the spring season.
How much does it cost to put up a barrier? It was a wooden thing with posts.
Isn't there a better barrier on Bradley?
The exact same thing. Ours just hasn't been tumped
It
up.
hasn't been knocked down?
Yeah.
Well, because yours is more, it's a flatter street. Raymond has this
Really steep down.
sledding hill
The
incline.
sledding there, yeah.
So people's brakes are an issue. But maybe
Okay.
that's something to find, at replacing it, Richard, if we're going to just start throwing barrels down there, I mean, why not replace it and tell WSSC this is part of your bill?
Well, I don't know, I'd be willing to do that if in fact we knew that WSSC is more happy to pay bills than they are to do the work. And so do you think they are? Well, we could talk to our friend Dwayne.
Yeah. I think the dead end of Raymond might be worth it, because if we're talking about trying to find somebody who did work here 5 years ago,
Right.
it'd be a problem.
So do we just want to hire somebody to rebuild it? Is that what you're suggesting?
I would suggest that. We need some kind of a design. What do we want to put in there and do it? But it can't cost that much.
Well, I just think it's some
2
posts and
a
board.
Yeah.
Well, and there was
posts.
discussion too, and I don't know if Paul had talked to Dan about this, that we have a space in the right-of-way there, do we put some plantings there? I know Paul Weller said that there used to be
Plantings there?
And that when the barrier was first taken out, they lost the plantings.
Well, also there was a house at the end up on
West of the circle.
On the circle, yeah. That construction.
And there's also
right
an
along.
issue because there's storm drains, I think, at the bottom of both Raymond and Bradley.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the residents, at least that I'd heard, was that when they snow plowed and also the plantings is that they dam up the street in a way that the water can't get to those storm drains. And I think we need to be mindful of that
Right,
also.
The whole thing has to be designed in a way.
Right.
So maybe it's the next time Joe Kuchar comes in about signs, there could be a conversation between him and Paul and whoever else needs to.
And the people who do our landscaping.
Abrahams.
Do we need to bid this out, or are we gonna just, is it
I don't think it should be
price tag
that
low enough?
much.
Should be less than the $10,000 to build
Well, I'd assume it's less than 10,000, but still.
barrier.
I mean, we're talking probably 3 posts and
boards.
4 boards
That's right.
painted white.
With
And then
reflectors.
Joe Kutro is recommending we buy some reflectors that are $14.95 a piece, as I recall, or something. $14.95.
Okay.
Not $1,495. $14.95 each. I thought we could get a plethora of them and put them
Thank
every
you for
place.
clarifying that.
Yes.
That's helpful.
Okay, any other questions about?
Good.
Do you have anything else to add, Beth? Thank you. And so,
I think it's going to
are we at the conclusion?
yes.
Any comments from the residents that stuck it out?
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
You do good work.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we're going to be paying attention. So I'll now enter a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the Maryland Code to discuss the leasing of the village office and consult with legal counsel to obtain legal advice related thereto.
Should we turn off the recording?
Wait, we
now?
have to take the vote first.
Oh.
So
So Richard
do I
made
have-
the motion, is there a
I
second?
made the motion.
I
If I-
second it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed?
Turn it
Okay.
off.